Okay, this is take two. I'm having to start the video again, and I've kind of done half of it, so it's going to be a bit quicker first half because I've already done it. So what we've got this afternoon, I can't find any Sierra Hotel 1 Tango radios, to be honest. The only two we've got, which are GT868s, we've already done. So the duplicates of sets we've already done, should I say. So I don't think you want to see the same ones several times. What we have got is this Smoky Bear PT40. So the PT40 comes in several guises. One of the PT40s is the Grandstand Hawk, which is one of the better ones, and that has PA on it, and that's important to note. Another of the ones is the Lowe TX40. That's a slightly different board, and that's going to be the service manual that I'm going to have to do the alignment with, because that's how it is. But it's a slightly different board layout and has an extra receive stage. It's a better radio. And then there's quite a few other PT40s. There's the Viper 88, and of course there's the basic World Sound PT40 on which most of them are based. So you've got the one without the PA, which is the inferior one, and it's kind of the build quality is inferior on the one without PA. It's weird. That said, this one is one without PA, and it looks quite nice. So there we are. And what I was originally saying is that when it was 1981 and CB was new in the UK, that one of the few radios that came out of the box and worked was most of the PT40s. And the trouble was, they nearly all came out of the box doing 5 watts, and we were having to turn them down. And this one, this is what I was doing on the initial video, which I've had to start again with, is I've just done the tune down. But we're going to just revisit it because we're going to do it with the service manual as well. So I've got a bit of a layout here. In fact, I'll put it in on the clipboard, which is something I didn't do last time. Now this is supposed to be printed A3, so I'm going to have to read it now as tiny writing because my A3 printer's in store. So there's building work happening here. In fact, there won't be a video on Tuesday because 2 trees are coming down, and the electricity board have got to disconnect me from electricity in order to do that, for our contractor to do that work. So there will be no electricity at Tango Towers from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, and it's all electric. So I think I'll go and do some church jobs and have lunch at McDonald's, and you know, the kind of thing. Right, so because these have a delta tune, it causes an extra snag on the tuning, and I can't remember what that snag is because it's so long since. But they want you to do the receive first, and I don't want to do the receive first, but it kind of fits in. They also expect you to power supply to be 13.2 volts, so I expect we're at 13.8. So if we're setting the thing for 4 watts, and that's at 13.2 volts, when somebody connects to 13.8 volts, there's a possibility that it could be over the legal limit. Let's see if we can. I'm not taking the bottom off this. So this is a set that we bought off eBay probably about 3 years ago. It's one that our Mark ZX2 spotted. He's put a sticker on the back, and the first thing we had to do was to fix the mic. It has come with a generic mic, which is here. A little bit of damage there, but it's the type of mic that I will accept and use. And what we found was there was no transmit because there was a wire off in the microphone plug, so I attended to that. So this is a set we don't need to touch the mic, and it also came with a original length power lead, and so nice that it's even got banana plugs on that power lead, so it plugs straight into our power supply. So we're not making a power supply up. I mean, that, yeah, that looks hand soldered, doesn't it? It's that's not being flow soldered, surely. If I needed to do any service work to that, I'd have to deflux it first. So back to what I was doing. I was just going to check the power, wasn't I? And that's quite easy because the power leads come through that cutout. Helps if I'm not on the 2 volt range, doesn't it? 13.9, better pull that down a bit. This power supply that I'm on at the moment has analog meters, and it's not easy to kind of see, or they're not that accurate anyway. So just for the service manual, we'll do it 13.2. This is one of our sets. I can untwazzle it. And what they want you to do is to find your RF voltmeter. Does everybody have an RF voltmeter? I've got a Russian one. I say these are not straightforward. You know, it's like those communicator sets which work very well. I don't accept what people say about those being rubbish. They were in our top 3 sets. We rated them better than the audio lines and the Unidens and even the Cybernets, if they're set up right. But there you go. Some people said they were bleed over boxes, but you know, and I lived in a busy town in Yorkshire, and I also worked at Nottingham when I was solely in church pipe organ, and I didn't have any bleed over problems with them. But then we had sorted them all out, and you know, they'd been optimised when I'd bought them. I even remember somebody asking for one as a wedding gift. So, select channel 1. Yeah, right. Done. And locate test point 1 and adjust coil 4 for maximum. So we have to locate test point 1, do we? This is where you pause the video. Now I'm going to have to do it our way because it's so different to the service manual on this version that all the parts have got a different number. I mean, is that C68 becomes C64? I don't know. Let's forget that. We'll start again. We'll pretend it's a set we've never seen before in our lives, and we know from experience, in fact, that these are the transmit ones, and that's the one which you never touch. And I also know that I've already, on the previous take, done all but these 2. So we'll go back to channel 20. So if anyone's got a PT40 circuit diagram, not the Lowe TX40 version, then we would be happy to receive. So what we're going to do this is something which I'm kind of translating from the service manual. I previously, when I tuned this, there we go, 4 watts, needs to be maximum there, needs to be maximum there, we had 5.5 watts out of it the first time round. That's the service all on the floor. I think that's right at the bottom now. So that's just that's 5 watts, and what we want you to do then is to detune it with that coil. So that's exactly what we'll do. There we go, 4 watts. I detuned it before with the last one, but the manual says next to the last one. This one isn't transmit as such. This is the coil for the 54 megasecond harmonic trap. So unless you want to play with your spectrum analyzer, leave that one alone. And the fact that this set has had no work done to it ever, you know, it's obvious it hasn't. I don't need to touch things like that, just like we don't need to worry about the VCO. Right, so he's doing 4 watts. On low power, let's get my notes. Low power. So switch to low power, and it's doing what? So it's actually doing 420 milliwatts. I don't know whether it's that one. It may not even have one. It does in the TX40, but it may not have one in this version. I can't see that being it, but I'll just give it a fiddle. No. This might be the one that's too cheap to have that. So in that case, that's going to be the RF power meter. So let's make sure that the meter is in the centre of the red zone. Helps if we put it on full power. And as you can see, we can vary that, and we want it in the centre of the red zone. Deviation. I've already done this. We'll do it again. So that looks high, but it isn't. These don't have brilliant mic gain. And deviation is VR4, which is just there. As you can see, we can vary that. If I set that to 2.5, I don't think it's going to be adequate. Voila! Oh, it is 1 2 1 2. Yeah, that's fine. So that's covered. We know that so these are the transmit. We know that's the 54 meg trap. We know that's the RF meter, deviation, and what else do we know? Oh yes, frequency I think is a preset. So what you do, I'll just before I go any further, we'll put the camera over to the frequency counter. So at the moment we're on 27,79321. Just see if that varies it. Yes, it does. Right, what? This is the procedure. I hope. This is where we're going to have to bring back the Lowe TX40 manual. It's because it's got a delta tune that it makes this awkward. So what it says is we need to be with channel 20 selected. Well, it's irrelevant what's selected. What we're going to do is to look at adjusting CT2 for 10.24046. 10.24046. So what we're going to do is, if I move that radio across, our little probe from the test set goes to the frequency counter external input, which I will now select. And if I use a screwdriver as a probe, because that's what everybody else would do, wouldn't it? There we go. And do put that on pin 12 of the phase lock loop chip. We now want that to be 10.24046. This is where you can go wrong with these obscure sets. Did you say 046, 24046? Well, we can't even get it to that. Okay. I'll just check it at that point. It's possible that capacitor is the correct test point. Let's see if we can bring it to 10.24046, testing at that capacitor. We can. I'm being a bit too finicky doing this. I don't need to be bothering this much. .2404, nearly 6, right. See whether that works out. So when I press transmit now, yeah, 27,79125. Then adjust the frequency control, which is 9. That should now mean the delta tune works properly. What's the tool stuck in the preset? 2779125 toggling 6. How about that? So that's what that's about. So I ended up using Capacitor 64 right hand leg as the test point. I'm sure I'm right, but the service manual tells you to use Capacitor 68, but I'm just kind of looking at the position, but there isn't a 68, as I say, it's a different layout, a different set. Okay, so we've done that. So it's on frequency, it's doing 4 watts, it's doing an acceptable low power, we've done the deviation, we've done the meter. So we'll move over to the receive. I'll switch on some oscilloscope and Cyanide Meter. I'll just set that up on the signal generator. And there we have it. And that is 0.3 of a microvolt, believe it or not. Okay, so at the moment I say that's 0.3 of a microvolt, and we've got to find the detector. And it's not much help looking at that service manual, apart from setting that delta tune. So just like on the television program from the 70s, the golden shot, up a bit, across a bit, down a bit, right a bit, and fire. I haven't had a television set since 1999. Not missing much, am I? So we want the detector, and it looks to me like that's going to be the detector. So we're looking for maximum recovered audio on the oscilloscope, and I'm sure that's the one. It is. And I got a fraction out of that. Alright, well, now we'll toddle off up the stack of instruments to the Cyanide Meter. And on the Cyanide Meter, we're going to set that. Oh, I'll tell you what, we'll do S9, we'll do the S meter while I'm in the mood. So the S meter is at the moment reading S7.5. So we need to find the preset which does the S meter. Now it could be that which I upset. But it isn't. It could be that one which I haven't upset. It is. So I'll make sure on my clipboard. It already says it's the S meter, and it already says that's the squelch. What a wally. Never mind. So now we'll do the tune-up. Now look at the numbers here. 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like we've got the IF in this department and the front end in this department. So I would think 7, 8, 9 and 10 are going to be in that order. So let's set the signal generator so we've got about 4 decibels on the Cyanide Meter. We've got a fraction there. Another fraction. Nothing extra there. I don't know what that does. It's probably to do with the transmit. Let's look at the numbers of the coils on there. 6, 5, 4, 1, 3. Yeah. So I'm not going to touch that. It's an early stage of the transmit. So it's going to be those for the receive. We haven't got that one in. So that's VCO. So we've got 2 IF ones. So we'll just step this up to about 12 decibels. So I'm now looking at the quality of the signal. So I'm kind of, my eyes are darting between the oscilloscope and the Cyanide meter. I need to knock that down because I actually have improved the quality. Chances are we've got better test gear than what they had at the factory. I mean, it's not as sensitive as some of the modern sets or some of the sets at the time, but I think it's competent. We'll just go back, just see. No, I don't think we're going to do better than that. So what we'll do is we will see what Smoky Bear PT40. So 20 dB if it does it at all. 12 dB is the industry standard, and 10 dB is the cheating standard. And let's see what the service manual says. It may not say what it's supposed to do. .2 for 12 decibels? Don't think so. I think half of that's Bull and the other half is Sierra Hotel 1 Tango. Okay, so let's get a reading. Okay, 20. I can actually get it to do 20. If you've got a product with cheap transistors, you can't ever achieve 20. And these are, come on, they're a cheap set. However well they work or don't work, they're a cheap set. They varied, depending who was behind them, they vary between $49.99 and $69.99. I think the Lowe TX40 was going to be at the higher end, and it is a better set. The Grandstand Hawk would have been at the higher end, but some of these also rans were at the lower end. And then they all got dumped about $29.99, I certainly do remember. So for 20 dB cyanide, we need 1.6 microvolts. So let's see if we can get 12 easily. I'm just going to go to the bottom scale. No, I can't do that on the bottom scale. So on that scale, we are looking at, actually it's not as scary as I thought. It's 0.45 microvolts, but it certainly isn't 0.2. And then our 10 decibel cyanide, I'll just look at the other scale, see if we can get it on that. You see, that's the 0.3 scale, and that is just about there. So let's go on the other one. It's either top down or bottom up, and yeah, 0.31. It's just on the edge of that. So actually, it's not bad at all. So, what does that leave us to do? So we've set the delta tune. Oh, we can watch how that affects the cyanide, can't we? I've just taken the knob off. The whole front's got to come off because that potentiometer is loose. So let's vary it. See, we can make it worse. So in the off position, tell you what, we'll set that to 12 so we can see it more easily against the 12. So in the off position where it should be spot on frequency, then we can vary it. So it goes back, correct, wrong again. So it's got the right kind of swing. So I think that's the idiosyncrasy with the set. You've got to set the frequency to, I'm going to repeat it again, is it 10.24046? Yeah, 10.24046, using that capacitor right hand leg as the test point. Then trim the frequency on transmit with VR9 down there. So that is it. Now, we'll just need to do the squelch because I definitely upset that. I can see it crying its eyes out, all upset. I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll set the 100 microvolt one on full squelch, and hopefully everything else will come in. I'll just pop this down to the attenuator so you can see what I'm doing. Right, so at the moment I'm parked at 100 microvolts. Squelch is on full. I want it to open, and so we'll either, because open sesame is not going to make it open, but adjusting that preset should. Yeah? That's weird. Back to the clipboard. I'll just make a note of that capacitor. It's C64. Right hand leg. Set for 10.24046 megs. Save me bothering to look that up next time. Now that's not wanting to play ball. Put the signal generator full pelt to see whether we can open it up. I'm just turning the squelch down now on the set. don't know whether that's faulty or dry joint or what. It's actually not a potentiometer, it's a rheostat. No, it needs to be gentler than that. Let's try that. Set threshold, switch signal generator on. I'm going to deflux around there, we'll stop the video. Right, we'll have another go at that. What I've done is to change a capacitor as well, right next to the squelch preset, and looking at the circuit where it's pretty similar between the Lowe TX40. I've just taken this 10 microfarad capacitor out, we'll just check it. It says short circuit. Wow. I say I knew something wasn't right. Let's try again. Still not having the range I'm looking for. So that's the weakest setting. So let's try that. So set threshold, switch on, no, it's not good. So this is not going to perform well on the air test. We're looking at 1.4 microvolts opening. Read that again. 543. No, we look at 3.9 microvolts opening. Not good. So this is not fun. This is you take the front panel off, and it's the whole front, and so you actually need to take the escutcheon off, which is, in other words, the label. So I've managed to get my phosphor bronze tool under that, and now we'll get this craft knife under it. So you're kind of breaking away the glue and not scratching it. So let's try it down that edge. And what we don't want to do is bend it. And that's exactly what we've done, bent it. What an awful arrangement. Now all we've got to try and do is put that back, and that's fun. Right, well, I've changed the preset just in case, but it's not made any difference. It's just insensitive anything. So it's a Sierra Hotel 1 Tango squelch. I've glued the panel back on. Not as good as it once was, but you know, this is what you have to do sometimes. So it just really remains for us to put it together. So I can know where its bottom lid is. All I want now is the speaker lid, which is there. And what I did do behind the scenes is I determined which is negative. And on this radio, the black's negative. Now this is a floating chassis. So between one of the cans and black, I had continuity. On this speaker, the left-hand terminal is clearly labelled negative. And so on this radio, the speaker was wired the correct way round. And as I say, although it doesn't matter, I will also put it the correct way round. Mr. Chippy is raring to go, and let's hope we don't have new Midland 78 plus multi shenanigans with it taking 8 seconds to key up like it did yesterday. But it was very cold yesterday. Right, I'll put these screws in. So I don't think this has ever been fiddled with. It doesn't give me that kind of impression. You've got shake-proof washers on some of these. So the ones at the back have got shake-proof washers on, and the ones at the front haven't. So make sure that we replicate that when we put it back together. which was one of Mark's spottings on eBay this some years ago, this Smoky Bear set. We'd never seen one before. Do you know what? I think he came out with an advertisement. I think he showed me an advertisement in one of the CB magazines at the time. So it's not like somebody's just stuck a label on. It is a set that happened. Don't ask me where the other 4 screws are, because they're not in the Aldi cheesecake jar, so we'll put 4 new ones in on this side. Got the shake-proof washers. So awfully insensitive squelch. Which is going to be fantastic if you don't want to hear anybody, like we don't. Right, so we'll get it on the aerial instead of the test instruments. We'll switch those off. So basically it was over power, off frequency slightly, but not out of tolerance, out off frequency. But what else was up with it? Don't know. Oh, the microphone, the red wire for the transmit was out. No, I don't think anybody's ever been in that. It's just how it is. 19 Roger. I'll go through again now, turn the RF gain up. Right, we'll park it on 31. And we'll do an on-the-air test with Mr. Chippy. So that's the Smoky Bear PT40 from 1981, a set which very few people will have seen or heard of before, and apart from the squelch, that's working fine. Thank you for watching.